Welcome back, everyone, to Turn to Page. uh, this is a podcast where we talk about books that we read, that we really want to read, and yeah. This week we are going to talk about Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. I'm a big fan of it, and we're mostly just reading it to get ready for the TV show that's going to come out in 6 days as
Six
of this
days.
recording. Yeah, 5 days as the recording goes up tomorrow, basically. Um, so yeah, we're gonna do that. Before that, we're gonna talk about some books that we read. Um, the last podcast we did was a week ago, so I did not read anything.
So you
So
lied.
when
Last time you said, I promise I'll read something.
did I? Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't count because we only had a week, and I was trying, and I do other podcasts. So I'm busy, and I was trying to. I was hoping to reread this before, but I only got to like
What is it?
what the
I
Percy
can't
Jackson
see it.
book.
Oh,
Yeah, Percy Jackson. This one. I do not have the newest versions of it. No,
fake fan.
nah.
I'm just kidding.
Actually, I really want the original covers for it because those ones are like a lot nicer to me, at least.
I'm just kidding.
um, but yeah, I didn't. Like I said, it's only been a week. There's no way I could have read anything new in that time. But somehow you did. What'd you read?
Um, I haven't finished it. Um, but it is called The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Um, I think I might have talked to you about it before, but basically, um, I like the story of how I found this book
Mm,
because um upon finding out about it, I realized that like it's a very popular book and a lot of people like it. But a movie that you've never seen before. It's called Ish, I forgot. I keep wanting to say As Above So Below, but it is not that one. It is called Lesson Zero.
mm,
Lesson Zero, yes. And it stars Robert Downey Jr., Andrew McCarthy, which I love. Um, and it's a very sad movie, but I really recommend it. I found out about this podcast, which is called Once Upon a Time at Bennington College, which um the way that the college is described, or at least how I kind of figured it was called or described as,
mm,
it's basically like the Harvard Students Reject Brothers College.
mm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Not really.
So like rich family members go to this college, but it's
Mm,
like um I don't know. It's not they're not like doing okay in life. Does that make sense? Like,
okay.
they are smart people, but they're kind of crazy and like the rich people send these kids here to kind of um either to not be responsible for them or for them to get a little bit more structure, but it's also like not because from a few of the stories that I've read and heard of, it's just like not that they don't care about their education there because they do, like they get important people to be the professors and stuff,
Mm,
but it's not like a normal college basically,
mm,
and it's for rich people. um so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and like it was a podcast, which I like podcasts clearly. um And the reason why I mentioned the movie is because this particular podcast, it's about a moment in time in the 80s where the writer for Lesson Zero was at this college, and so was Donna Tartt. And there was one more person, but I haven't gone to that one yet. Um, and it's just like this is where they created kind of or got a lot of their inspiration to write these stories,
Mhm.
aka Life Lesson Zero and The Secret History. And it's very, at least the book is very like dark academia and stuff like that, and it's a little bit of like a murder mystery kind of. um it's I'm barely like 150 pages in. I'm not like
Mhm.
super, like stuff is happening,
Yeah.
and it's really cool. And um yeah, so this podcast, it talks about each of them individually, but then like they were like friends during this time, or acquaintances at least.
Mhm.
um so it kind of talks about like, mm, things that they could have um like drawn inspiration from, specifically at this college. So it's I don't know, I like these stories where it's like people like going like, right now the variety interviews are coming out, the ones that they come out with every year with like the actors on actors and stuff.
Mhm.
And I like watching those videos because they talk about like creating their art, their movies, but it's like the process of it. And this is kind of like that, but it's like with stories and with books.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I found out about it. I know it's like this long story, but I like mentioning this because I don't know. I like to tell people like, you know, like there's a reason why we have these things, and like here's like
Mhm.
what it took to create this.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I am enjoying the book so far. Hopefully by next time I will finish it, and I will give you my full thoughts on it.
Mhm. Cool. Hopefully, I can finish a book by next podcast. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, like I said, I didn't read anything. Still trying to read all the other books that I mentioned before. So we'll see how I do. But yeah, we can just get started with Percy Jackson. But first, let me tell you how I got into this.
Yes.
Basically, so I used to work at a grocery store. I'm finally out of it. It was a fun job, but I'm glad I'm out. um, yeah, I worked at a grocery store. I worked nights. The place is closed, and I'm just in the aisles, like three certain aisles by myself. So I have a lot of time to just listen to podcasts or music. That's what I listened to at first. And then during the pandemic, though, because it was just work and home, I just listened to podcasts all day. And at some point, I was just like, I'm done with podcasts. You just kind of, like, it's the same thing with books. Like at some point, you just hit this wall, and you're like, I can't do this. And so I finally went, I'm gonna try audiobooks because at first I didn't want to do it because I thought listening to it and working, I'm not gonna like pay attention at all. I was way wrong. But so yeah, so I finally just went, fuck it, let's get an audiobook. And Percy wasn't the first book. It was The Name of the Wind. That was the first book I got, and instantly I was like, I'm gonna do this a whole lot more. And I think I might have read like 20 something books in that first year.
You did. You got a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I think that's when you got all the Harry Potter books, isn't it?
So basically, yeah, like I said, it was The Name of the Wind, and then after that, I was like, oh, I can finally finish the Harry Potter books because I've only read like the first one at that point. And so I started maybe, I don't know, maybe the first three, and then I went, oh my gosh, wait, Percy Jackson. Like I've always really wanted to get into this. I watched the movies first. And I'm sure like a lot of people did, but like, I thought it was fine, but I always just loved the idea of like these kids, demigods, like going to a camp and they just get into certain quests or something like that. Like that, just that idea was so
Yeah.
like
I
awesome for
mean, it
me.
was like it I remember, I think the movie and Merlin were kind of around the same time.
Hmm.
The show Merlin from the Sci-Fi Network, I think it
Well,
was.
I think it was BBC first, and
Was
then it
it?
went to the Sci-Fi Network. I don't know.
Oh, well, I think we saw it on
We
Sci-Fi.
saw it on Sci-Fi for sure,
Yeah.
but I think it was on BBC.
Yeah, so it was kind of like the same concept, except I mean, Merlin was like
No.
set in the time.
No, well,
Um,
we saw Merlin's origin story, and so I can kind of get like the same vibe from it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Basically like people learning to control their abilities and everything like that. Just it was kind of interesting, and like you know they're part of a bigger fate that's happening within their time and all that. And so yeah, this I mean the whole I think we were just really more into mythology and stuff. Merlin and the Greek gods are like part of that. So we were just kind of we were both really into that. We for sure got really got into it with Merlin. We literally just
Yeah,
like looking up Wikipedia stuff and everything. With the Greek gods, I just kind of knew
it was
basic
a
stuff.
moment.
Yeah, it's I really wanted to get into it, and then finally went okay audiobooks, and I would read one Percy Jackson book and then read one Harry Potter book, or read listen one Percy, one Harry, one Percy, one Harry, and all that. And eventually, once I ran out of Harry Potter, I just went and I just kept going. After that, I listened to Heroes of Olympus. Um, yeah, no, it was just Heroes of Olympus, and after that, I was like a fan. I love the series. I wanted everything. I have box sets of Percy and the Olympians, Heroes of Olympus, um, Trials of Apollo, and Kane Chronicles. Um, so yeah, I'm a fan. And so ever since then, I just kind of kept track of whatever is coming out with Rick Riordan, and then also his Rick Riordan Presents line. I've read the Aru Shaw, or listened to the Aru Shaw books. Uh, I forgot the name. Something Dagger. I can't remember. That one was interesting. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones I can't remember. I remember the Aztec gods one. That one was really interesting. Uh, but yeah, basically just nonstop with this. And there was even like just an entire year. It was last year, I think, where I just reread the Percy Jackson books, all of the Percy Jackson books, and Camp Half Blood Confidential, just all the side stories that they put out. So like I'm hooked on this series and everything. So I'm really glad to be doing this. Um, but yeah, that's my story with it. I'm also just kind of like I like list. That's basically how I got into listening to other podcasts about certain that people like read certain books and all that. I follow quite a few that read the Percy Jackson books and still reading the Percy Jackson books, even though I started like 2 years ago, which is insane. And so it's kind of cool that like in a sense I'm part of that community. It just kind of makes it fun.
Yeah.
Mm. How'd you get into it?
The movie. I mean, we watched the movies.
Yeah.
And although I liked the book,
Mm.
I've only read the first one.
Yeah.
I haven't read the others.
Mhm.
I think I started the second one. I just haven't finished it.
Mhm.
I mean, definitely have to like start it all over because it was like I finished the first one and then I started the second one and
Mhm.
then I didn't continue. Not
No.
because I didn't like it,
No.
um, but yeah, I remember when I read the first one. Oh, I mean, it's the same feeling that I had with the Harry Potter books. Like, this is so cool. Like,
Mhm.
I love him, and
Yeah.
like to kind of enter like this new world and stuff.
Mhm.
It's fun. And then the movie, I like the movies.
Mhm.
I don't know.
No, yeah,
I know they're controversial,
I
but
know.
I like the movies.
No, yeah, I think the movie was pretty fun. I understand like the big criticisms of it. Rick Riordan himself was like, his only big disappointment was that they made the main characters teenagers and not kids. Um, and some people pointed out like they don't when they get to the camp, they don't like that that it looked like a frat party. Like it's just them. Yeah, they're like they're training to become warriors and all that, but it's also just kind of like a party every day with them, which it makes sense in terms of like Greek demigods, Greek
Yeah.
culture. Um, but they just didn't like that idea. It was mostly just kids always training, having a little fun on the side, but like it's camp stuff, like
Mhm.
canoeing or um, well, I think that's the only normal thing that they do. They have everything else is just like
The
fighting with
girl
swords, archery.
training,
Yeah. Oh my god,
making weapons.
making weapons. Yeah, I mean, as the book goes along, though, there's like little things that you find out more about, like the Hephaestus cabin. They're just always making weapons. uh, but yeah, no. Oh yeah, but the movies themselves, like I kind of enjoyed it. I kind of like the little things that they changed in order to like move the story along. Some people said it like felt like a video game. I can understand that, but I thought it just kind of makes sense to
Yeah.
make
I
it that
think
way.
because also like I feel like the movies came out at a time where also I mean like I mentioned earlier, we were really into Merlin, I think, when we watched them. But also I think it came out around the time of like The Sorcerer's Apprentice and stuff, which I also love that movie.
Dude, I rewatched that a while ago. It fucking holds up. I can't believe there
It's
wasn't a
so good.
sequel.
So I kind of like mix those two
Hmm.
together. Um, so again, and I mean, I guess it makes a difference if you like read the book and were a fan of the book before you watch the movie,
Hmm.
obviously. Um, but again, I enjoyed them, so I don't know.
Hold up. I want to see what year did that come out? Percy Jackson movie.
I know. I feel like I'm
2010.
probably like so wrong. No, yeah, that was like
But I mean,
around.
it's like I know I get you though. Like it's the same vibes.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
movies. 2000. It came out 2010. I put 2010 movies. Let's see what came out. What the fuck? Yeah, Percy Jackson, Kick Ass.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I feel
uh,
like it fit the time that it came out
The
in.
Last Airbender.
Oh. That's some
Megamind. Yeah,
exclusions.
right there. Yeah, Sorcerer's Apprentice,
Yeah.
2010. And
See?
How to Train
I
Your
don't know.
Dragon, Secret
I'm
World,
I may be old, but
Secret World of Ariadne. That's
the
like
what?
Secret
Oh
World of
yeah.
Ariadne. That's like my third. No, yeah, that was my second favorite Ghibli movie. I wonder what else. Legion. Hmm. Wait, Deathly Hollows Part One came out in 2010.
The what?
Deathly Hollows Part One. That was.
Uh-huh.
My God, we're so old.
2010.
I see it here.
2000. Yeah.
Fuck, we're old, man. Remember Me? That came out in 2010.
Stupid movie.
Yeah. But yeah, no, yeah, you called it though. Sorcerer's Apprentice did come out in 10. So, Cats and Dogs. Oh, wow. The other guys. Predators. Is that the one with. Yeah, it is. Dude, that was a sick fucking movie. Okay, sorry for that tangent. Ooh, Tron. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, Tron. See, I like Tron too.
Yeah, Tron's pretty cool.
Tron's pretty
Pretty
cool.
cool. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't see this. Clash of the Titans.
See? Yeah. So
Yeah. So
again,
we
came
kind of
out
got
at a
into
good
it.
time.
Yeah.
Good
Just
vibes.
yeah, yeah. Wow.
I also like not that we're gonna like talk about the show right now, but how the guy that plays Percy, I forgot his name, Logan Lerman.
Hmm.
I feel like he's always been so like protective of like this character and like the work that he did.
I mean, that kind of just it got him his start though, so I can understand why. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure he came out of other stuff before that, but I just that was definitely like the first thing that I recognize him in.
I
So
mean, he came out in Perks.
that wasn't that after? No, yeah, that was before, huh?
Well, I don't know what time, but I think when I think of Logan Lerman, that's what I think
Well,
of.
I mean, the first thing that I saw Logan Lerman on was the Percy Jackson movie. So I read. When did that come out? I think if it was before, just because no,
No, it
2012.
was after.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was after.
Mm-hmm.
But what's it called? So I think that's why I also and like he does like give off this vibe of like, when they announced that they were making the show, I believe that they did ask him like something about the show and that he was just kind of like, all right, like I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, like he I feel like people's reaction and negativity towards the movie, like, did effective because I
Mm,
feel like I think that he's just so protective of this character and the story and the work that he did, and I think that he's, like, proud of what he did, which good for him, and I agree that he should be.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that that's what, like, makes me like the movie more.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. No, yeah, I can understand why. Again, he's protective of it. Like I said, that basically got him his start and all that. But I mean, what I'm basically just glad about now is that we're just in a time though that they're really letting the creators of whichever book or game, Last of Us, they're letting them work on their own thing. Even One Piece, the guy who wrote the manga, is like was a part of it too, and
Yeah,
they've
uh-huh.
all been fantastic. Last of Us, One Piece, Invincible. I feel like there was another one, but I can't remember. They've all just been great. So I'm really hoping if this one pulls through,
Yeah.
that we just keep getting more of it. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, we have a love for this franchise. um, should we just go into spoilers? I mean, I guess we kind of just already said what we
Yeah,
liked.
I mean I guess, like, initial thoughts of the book, we like it.
Yeah,
He loves it.
yeah, I love it.
I really like it too,
Mm,
not that to downplay it.
mm,
But yeah, go ahead.
cool. Yeah, we'll go into spoilers. Basically, start off with Percy in the field trip, and I mean, right away. I mean, what people always talk about in the beginning is just the intro of it with the whole, look, I didn't want to be a half blood. Uh, and let me see, what is it? Like, I didn't want to be a half blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is closest book right now. Believe whatever lie your mom and dad told you about your birth. Try to lead a normal life. So basically, like, it already kind of like catches you in, and I love when stories try to like put you like try to make
Like,
you
they're
feel,
talking to you.
yeah, like they're talking to you, try to make you feel a part of it. You know, I really like. I think they did that with Kane Chronicles, where they're like, if you're listening to this recording, because it's supposed to be recording, and we're reading like the transcript versions that Rick Riordan himself wrote. um, and so like they say like if you listen to this, you're probably like your lineage leads back to the Egypt times and all that. You're probably descended from a pharaoh, something like that.
Mhm.
And so I really like when books do that. But I mean, right away though, we just get an idea of who he is and all that. And what I liked about his character, um, it's just for one thing, he's funny. It just kind of like just says what he thinks all the time, even if it gets him in trouble. Like he's just so funny and all that. But also, what I liked about him in the beginning, and this is like always part of one thing I really liked about this book is whenever I do reread it, I just see something new about it. And the first thing I didn't notice was that um just how much he really does try to be a good person, but just like shit always happens. Like he said, he's always expelled. He keeps getting expelled because of things that just out of his control and because some monster did something. And in the beginning, he talks about Mr. Brunner, who's Chiron, and he said that like the teacher like I was always giving him a hard time, always like trying to push him to do better and all that. And he's like he hates it, but a part of him does kind of like appreciates it. Like there's someone who actually like thinks he's good and all that. And so that's always kind of interesting in the beginning. But that doesn't last long. And yeah, like I said, shit happens. He gets attacked by a monster, and Mr. Brenner gives him the sword early on. It's just kind of like, yeah, you'll be needing this. That's when we get the first look at the Riptide. Um, and yeah, kind of crazy start, and it just kind of gets crazy after that
Yeah.
because after he gets attacked, he tells his friend Grover like, "Dude, I just got attacked," and I was like, "What happened to Mrs. Dodds, who was like a teacher, but this it was a teacher who was actually a monster. She dies, and then after he meets Grover, he's like, I just killed Mrs. Dodds. And Grover's just like, who's Mrs. Dodds? Just like, and like he knows it's true, but like he has to play it cool because I guess he's not ready yet to learn about his like powers and all that, his life basically. And one thing I always forget is that goes on for weeks. That
Yeah.
he's just kind of like, this happened, my guy, and he always tries to catch him too. I like those moments where he's like, I can't remember what he said, but it was just something like, yeah, this person did this and all that. It's like, yeah, that person did that. And he's like, I thought you said you didn't remember them. What? It's just kind of so yeah, that was, it's just a funny intro. I hope we get all that in the show. And then and then he finally gets home. Oh, I mean, I'm skipping a lot. There's like a whole lot of little details in this book that I would like to get to, but it's too
Well,
much.
I mean, it's fine. Well, like how you said, hopefully they'll have it like in the show, or I mean, since it's like more time for us
Mhm,
to see, it'll be interesting to see like what they add and what they don't
mhm,
add, I guess.
mhm. No, I mean, I'm sure there's some things that they can probably skip.
Things that they might change will be interesting to see.
Also, things that like I can finally see, because like
Mm-hmm.
even when I reread it, this is one part. It was when the bully, I forgot her name. Uh,
In the camp or
no, no, in the
at
field
school?
trip. In the field trip,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, the bully goes up to Percy. I think she like messes with Grover, like throws her food at him or something like that. And they say that, well, I guess it's understandable why he can't see it and all that, but he kind of like, he gets pissed off at her, and like he says in like in a like split second, she's like on the floor or something, and she's like, Percy pushed me and all that, and then Percy can hear the other people talking, going like, did you see that, like the water, like it looks like he grabbed her and all that. And I'm just kind of like, wait, how did he do that though? Because he's like, which direction is he facing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's some parts that I can't visualize it. It's kind of hard for me, but I saw like a image of that scene, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it went. And so it'd be cool to watch the show, and like I can reread this and kind of go, oh, get it now.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm,
exciting.
yeah. um,
I also that I mean you mentioned earlier that about him just how he just tries to be a good person.
mhm.
That was also something that like really stuck out through the whole story. Just like I mean it's kind of like the Spider-Man thing where he's just a good person and he wants to always try his best and puts everybody else before
Him.
him.
Mhm.
Um, but life just happens.
Mhm.
Even if it's crazy.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, that's something that I really, really like about him.
Mm. And then and he gets that from his mom.
Yes.
Because
Oh my god, I love his mom.
everyone loves the mom.
Oh
People
my
are like,
god.
and people are always like, she's the best like
Ugh.
mom in the book and all that. And I'm always like, I mean, Molly from Harry Potter is like kind of close, but okay. But I can understand why people like
I
Sally.
mean, yeah, I love both of them. All
Mhm.
moms.
Yeah, but he for sure gets that from his mom. I mean, we especially learn that later on. But I mean, when even during his field trip, actually, he says he's like just a few blocks away from his apartment, and he can just get up and go. But he says like, if I know if I do that, I'm just gonna disappoint her because she's not gonna like the fact that I just ran away from school. um, And so yeah, so he dealt with the whole gaslighting thing with his friends for a few weeks, and then he finally goes back home. There's a scene in the bus where he sees the fates. He like looks at them. They cut a thread, and basically means that he's gonna die. But that never doesn't. I feel like that never went anywhere. Like I'm still trying to remember now. I'm like, what was the point of that? So I'm hoping you change that in the show. Um, who knows? But he gets back to his apartment and he meets Smelly Gabe, his stepdad. He's having a poker game with his buddies and all that. And I mean, just right away, he's already like just a dick. It's like, hey, I can't remember what he says exactly to him, but what he says to him, I don't remember. But his conversation between him and Sally is what stands out to me the most. That's actually why I'm glad about listening to other people's podcasts, because I did not like think this far into it. But like, Sally gets home. She brings some treats because she works at a candy store. She brings some treats to Percy and all that, and she tells Gabe like, "Hey, remember I'm gonna borrow your car for the weekend because I'm gonna take me and Percy are gonna go to a lake and all that." And he's just like, "When the heck are you gonna? When the heck like did we decide you're gonna take my car and all that blah blah blah?" It's like already like he's forgetting shit. Doesn't Wants to ruin the trip basically for them and all that. And basically like what she was trying to explain to Gabe was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take it out of my own money and all that, like and like spend this trip out of my own money. Like I already like raised it enough." Basically like Gabe is like in full control of her income.
Mhm.
And like I just didn't like it didn't process to me like, oh my gosh, like you're really in full control of her. Like she's just like
Mhm.
she's it's not just he's just an asshole to her, I think like that. Like no, you want control of this woman. You want her to like basically just do your bidding. And I'm like, oh my god. This guy. I'm glad what happened to him. Keep that in the show. um and so yeah. And she even has to like prep his food for him for the weekend and all that. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, this guy. And so yeah, like I said, the more I read it, the more I'm like just noticing more and more of it. And this is also why I like the podcast. um but yeah, that happened. And they just head off to the weekend because best to get away from him as soon as possible. um Wow, I legit don't remember some of this conversation because I actually saw a clip of that scene coming out, and like Sally was saying like I was trying to explain to him like the situation, like she was going to tell him about um that he's a demigod and all that, but Grover interrupts, and I'm like, did that actually happen in the books? And I'm just I'm skimming through it now, and I'm like, oh yeah, she was trying to explain to him in that moment. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed it. But it's a really sweet moment too because Percy thinks she's like sending him away because he's a bad kid and all that. She's like, no, like you're a good kid, I swear. It's too dangerous now. I can't keep you safe anymore. um,
Yes, I remember that
I
conversation.
don't remember that conversation. Oh my gosh. And I'm
Ooh.
just thinking, I don't know, just for one thing, the funny parts stand out to me because I remember though it was something like Grover shows up and he's telling him like things are progressing faster than they thought it would and all that, so they just kind of get into the car and they head towards Camp Half Blood, and then the person just keeps freaking out about the fact that Grovers have goat and all that.
Yeah.
But he said no. What did he say? No, he said you're half donkey and all that. Or, I remember now. He's freaking out about the legs and all that, but Grover says something like, "It's not a big deal, like whatever, like forget about it." And blah blah blah. He's just like, "How can I forget about it? You're half donkey. Okay, I'm half goat. You said it doesn't matter. Like, why are you correcting me in this moment?" That's that was the part I was trying to remember. I just found it so funny every single time. Sorry. But yeah, in the middle of that, they get attacked by the Minotaur, and Sally dies, or so we thought. In that moment, and Percy gets pissed off about that. I mean, he still had the sword. No, how did he? Oh no, I remember now. It was because the Minotaur like crashed into either the car or some tree. Basically, one of the hordes um, came out of it, and Percy killed it with his own horn. And yeah, Govar was knocked out at the time, but he managed to wake up afterwards, and he dragged Percy all the way to the camp, to like the nursery, I guess. And he just fades in and out. We get Annabeth in those glimpses, and when he finally wakes up, he sees her there, and we hear, and it's the classic line that everyone wants to hear, everyone will remember forever. She says, "You drew when you sleep," which is like everyone's just like, I know they're gonna be waiting for it. I can't wait to see reactions of those people being like, "God, she said it," and yeah. um, and yeah, so we're at the camp, and one part that just always stood out to me is like he looks throughout the whole place. showing him everything, the archeries, the sword fighting, and all that, the other cabins. And at one point, he literally says, "This is like one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and I can't enjoy it." Because he's just too sad about losing his mom. And I'm like, fuck. And so that's actually kind of interesting. And one thing I've heard about in the show that like they're trying to do is that this Percy in the show is like more mad. Like he gets more
Mhm.
frustrated, which actually like makes a lot of sense because
Yeah, I am happy about that because
Mhm.
I also did feel like if not that I didn't know that he wasn't like grieving,
Mhm.
but it did feel that way at some moments
Mhm.
where I kept thinking like your mom just died.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Mhm.
Like I don't even know how I would be, you know?
Mhm. No, yeah, and I hope we get more and more of that for sure. Especially because more themes come out as like time goes on. For one thing, he has to like train right away because they tell him, you're a demigod. We don't know who your godly parent is, but all demigods come here to train, protect themselves because you'll forever be chased by monsters. And so he kind of just didn't have time to grieve. Um, and oh yeah, yeah. Annabeth is the one that shows him around. She takes him to, I can't remember. I want to say cabin 7. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. You can clearly tell I have bad memory. uh, but that's basically what's the god? The messenger god.
Hermes?
Hermes, yes, Lin Manuel Miranda. Hermes cabin. Basic and I like this. Basically, god of travelers. So anyone is welcome in that cabin because of that. Because like you're technically a fellow traveler in
Yeah.
of itself, and so you get to stay there. Um, and so he trains. Percy sucks at every weapon, and for some reason, I wish I get an explanation to this. But for some reason, Riptide, the sword that he used when the Chiron first gave him the pen, for some reason that one's just perfect for him. Like no other
I mean,
weapon.
it is called Riptide.
True. I mean, true, but like this is one that I think it was Hercules that had it first. So it's like not. It's not like
Uh,
it's
oh, I
connected
didn't
to
know
him.
that.
Yeah. Oh, you learned that in the other books. My bad.
Um.
My bad. In Titan's Curse, this one. Um. So yeah. So it's not like it's directly connected to him, but for some reason, it just always works. And I will say this one: there's one point in this side story where there was a crossover between Percy and the Canes, and he loses the sword at some point. And they're like, "Crap, I don't know what to do. You're blah blah blah." So he like one of the Canes hands him a kopesh, but like once as soon as Percy holds it, it kind of like it it becomes longer, but it's still like a kopesh, like still hook shaped.
Mhm.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's basically like right in between when like the Greeks and Egypt's like met or something like that. I don't know what the history exactly was, but even then though, in his mind, he was like, it's still not perfect though. It's still not like riptide or anything like
Wow.
that. And I'm just kind of like, come on, man, get better or something. I don't know. It's just I always find it weird. I don't know. But yeah, everything on the training led to. Oh, I remember now. When you meet Luke, he is a child of Hermes and all that. And he's like the cool guy. Annabeth clearly like has a crush on him right from the very beginning. Um, and he's the one that always teaches Percy. He teaches everyone because apparently he's the best swordsman there. Uh, and so they kind of make like a friendship instantly because of it, just because Percy is so new, but also like he still progresses fast as soon as he gets Riptide on his hands. Capture the flag. Basically, Percy was just kind of getting his ass kicked by the Ares cabin because he embarrassed Clarice. He like basically blew up a toilet in front of her, and so she wants revenge from that. And they nearly like they even say actually beforehand, it's like trying not to cut off some limbs, trying not to die and all that, blah blah blah, because it gets really dangerous and all that. Which I hope they keep that. in the show too, just because I don't know, I feel like too many people will complain that it's like too dangerous and that like Chiron's kind of like not um
Not realistic for this world.
I mean I feel like it is though because
Not them not keeping it that way wouldn't be realistic, is what I meant.
oh okay, my bad.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, it's more so like just complain about how Chiron's kind of like not too strict on some rules or something like that. Like he really does keep it dangerous for the kids, but I'm also kind of like it's dangerous out there. Like
Yeah.
you know, you
Like, that's the
either
whole point of the camp
yeah.
to, you know?
It's like if you survive here, you can probably survive anywhere, type of thing.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah,
mean, they're making weapons, like
yeah. So yeah, they're getting his ass kicked, and then at some point he gets into the water, and he kind of like just gets this newfound strength. And he like beats everyone, and Annabeth notices that, and right away she was actually wearing her invisibility cap, basically, and she saw like the whole thing, and she figured out right away, like, dude, get in the water, like basically pushes him, and as soon as he's there, that's when he get the light on top of him, which is the symbol of the trident. And they find out that he's the god of the son of Poseidon. God of Poseidon. He's the son of Poseidon. They showed an image of that scene,
oh my god.
and it was so funny too because I saw on other people's social medias, the ones who do the podcast, and they were like, "Did anyone picture it like this small on top of his head?" But instead in the show, it's like fucking huge, like the size of an actual trident and all that on top
Uh-huh.
of him. And I'm like, "Oh my god, why? Don't do that." I don't like it. But that's fine. It's cool. I guess in terms of like, I don't know if it wasn't exactly in the book like this big or something, but it makes sense for the show because it has to be like grand, like oh my god,
Mhm.
and then I remember, Chiron goes, Percy Jackson, son of Poseidon, they all get down on their knees and all that. And he's just kind of like, well, fuck, because this is just new attention that he did not want.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why he was loving camp, is because everyone else is literally like him, ADHD, dyslexic, troublemakers of some sorts and all that, and some of them don't even know who their parents are. Some of them don't even have parents, sadly. So it was just kind of like he was really getting used to that, just being a part of a group. And then
Mhm.
um,
That happened.
as soon as that happened, he gets off into his own cabin, but it's just him by himself. And I think he even mentions it too. It's like, you think I'd be happy about that, but I'm not. I'm literally by myself now, and everyone's is already gonna treat me
Yeah.
differently. More things speed up along. Basically, they tell Percy like it's actually really dangerous that you're alive. Like now more than ever, because not only is he son of the big three. Big three are Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. They All three of them made a pact during at the end of World War II, basically, that they would no longer bear any children because their kids, mostly their kids, are the ones that like cause the most damage. I think they said that Hitler was the son of Hades, and
It's
yeah.
I like that they did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love in, like, when we watch movies or TV shows and stuff when they,
Rewrite history.
yes, to
Mm-hmm.
fit their story.
Mm-hmm.
I just really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, I always love
It's so,
stories.
like, cool because it's like, I mean, obviously, like, that wasn't something cool, but um I just think it's so clever that,
Mm-hmm.
like, you're able to manipulate whatever happened in real life into, like, whatever, like, world that you're building, you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure. No, I mean, I think one of our favorite ones is Warehouse 13, where they're like, all these certain what they're artifacts, like had
Oh,
to do with
yeah,
some.
warehouse. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You forgot. I remember the big standout. It was
We just keep talking about sci-fi shows,
I know.
which
uh
Everybody go watch Warehouse 13 and Merlin
Yes, and Merlin. Yeah,
and Eureka, I guess.
Eureka's really good. Okay. Um, I think the big standout on Warehouse 13 was fucking Walt Disney's paintbrush, and that he just makes cartoons out of thin air and like and all that. Thought that was really funny. I think they said George Washington was a demigod. I don't, but and I don't think they ever said
Yeah,
who their godly
I
parent
think.
was. Um, don't let it be Athena. So, I don't know who would have been it though. That's crazy. Um, I can't remember who else. Um, but yeah, basically because of that, the trio are no longer allowed to have kids of their own, and so that Percy being alive just makes him dangerous and puts him in danger and all that. And he came out at a bad time because they explained that Zeus's lightning bolt has been stolen, and just for the mere fact that he's alive, he's target number one. For some reason, even though he just learned he's a demigod like a week ago or something, he's still target number one. And so now he is basically forced to go on a quest to
Clear his name.
clear his name, fetch the lightning bolt, and all that, blah blah blah. And we get the first prophecy, which I did not mark down. Sorry, I should
Oh
probably
my
just.
god, you're not prepared.
No, no, sorry. I'm busy, okay? I had to play the DLC for God of War Ragnarok, okay? Jackson. I'm just gonna look it up. You shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. You shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend, and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. So yeah, and all of that does come true. This is actually my favorite, one of the coolest things in the book, though, is that the prophecies like really do come true. And I mean, if you read it as an adult, you can kind of guess how it, like who it is and all that. But I'm sure as a kid, you're just kind of like, what's gonna happen? Like,
Can you say it again?
oh, said it too fast? Or,
No, I
uh,
just I want to what you're just saying right now.
you shall find what was stolen and see it safely returned. I mean, that one's obvious. You shall be betrayed by the one who calls you a friend, and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. So basically, so the first line is obvious. You know, he finds the lightning bolt. Second line, that's the mystery. It can be anyone. You know, third one too, but like he really makes a twist out of it, and like you wouldn't have expected. You know, at least for me, that the last line is like the one I did not expect at all, and it was really really cool.
Dual. What was the last line?
And you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. Did I remember it?
No.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Because it kind of happens twice in a sense. So yeah, they go. So he gets the prophecy. He doesn't tell Chiron, Grover, and Dionysus. I forgot to mention him. Wow, Dionysus is the camp leader. Basically, he watches over the whole thing, but he fucking hates his job. Also, the guy who plays him. Oh my gosh, what's his name? I forgot. Just perfect casting. Honestly, it was perfect casting in the movie and in the show.
Who was he in the movie?
Um,
I can't remember. Wait, who was he in the show? I can't remember either.
the movie. I always get his names confused, so I don't want to say it. Dionysus actor. Jason Mantzoukas is the one in the show. He's perfect. He was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Paper Girls. The Good Place. He always plays like this crazy character, and I was kind of hoping like he can do that, but like 80% less of crazy, And in Paper Girls, he was kind of playing like a pretty serious villain and all that, so he can do it, and so I'm kind of excited what he's gonna do. Trying to look for the movie one. Oh my gosh, they're just giving me the mythology. Stanley Tucci. Oh my god.
Oh yes, I love Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, he was perfect for that role. Honestly, one of the best castings honestly in like that
He
whole
is
movie.
him in real life.
um, but yeah, and the reason why he's a camp leader though is because he was with some nymph that Zeus called dibs on, basically, and so he's punished for like 1,000 years to lead the camp. And what's just so funny about him though too is just he always gets everyone's names wrong. Like I don't know, I can I wish I could remember all the names that he says, but I don't know, it's just kind of like but he just always gets he doesn't really care about anyone, always tries to just stay out of those people's way and all that blah blah blah. So he's great, he's funny, and actually I end up loving him actually by the end of the series though, because he just does some things that I'm kind of like, oh, this is surprising and I love it. Yeah, so yeah, he gets told about the prophecy and gets told, yep, you're gonna have to go on the quest. um you get to choose two other people to go with you. And Grover's like, yeah, I'll go with you. But like, but I think Percy says, like, I can tell the part of him really doesn't want to go though. Because he's just too scared. And Charon goes, and someone already volunteered to join you too. And he's like, I wonder who. And right away, Annabeth was like right next to him the whole time. She takes off that cap, and that's the first time she says, like, you won't be able to do this without me, seaweed brain. And that's another iconic line that's gonna happen. um, and so they start. They had to. How did they find this out? I can't remember how they find out. Too. They had to head. They had to head to. Oh, I remember now. I think they always suspected that Hades probably took the lightning bolt, and the only way to get to Hades' place is in California. So they had to like head all the way over there. They get hungry at some point. It's gonna be out of order. Sorry, but I mean I think that's fine. Just because I'm trying to remember a lot. Basically they head towards what's the snakehead lady?
What's the what?
Medusa's.
Did you just
Snakehead lady, yeah. um, yeah. At some point they wind up in Medusa's lair. I guess it's a burger place, but also a place where garden ornaments are there, and they start to realize like these statues look really realistic. And and so yeah, they have at some point they have to find. Oh, I remember. No, she does make them burgers. Actually, they actually like eat it, but Annabeth's the only one that's like, "There's something off here, guys. Like, what the fuck," and all that. And the reason part of the reason though too is because it's very clear that Medusa is being like mean towards Annabeth, and but like favoring Percy. And later on, we find out it's because Medusa was actually in love with Poseidon, and so part of her likes um Percy. And the reason why she has snakes on her head is because of Athena, because she caught Medusa and Poseidon like in their room or something like that, in her room. And so yeah, she hates Annabeth because of that. And so,
That's so funny.
and actually, there's one thing I do hope that they do in the book, but like, I kind of hope they really put an emphasis on like how much their parents screwed them over.
Yeah.
And this is actually one thing I'm very curious about that they do is if they're going to change this scene, because a lot of things are coming out about the mythology or like Medusa's mythology that like it's kind of been rearranged. Basically, it wasn't that
not rearranged, but just the interpretation of it is different now.
that's
and I mean, I don't know. I assume everybody's kind of up to date with this, but that not that I don't know how to word it. Like, she used to be the villain, but
it's starting to
with
come out that
empathy and a bit more of understanding, it's kind of maybe that's not the case.
basically the other story is that Poseidon basically kind of like forced himself on her, and Athena helped her out by turning her into what she becomes so that she can protect herself. And so I'm curious if they maybe either want to flip that in the show, because I wouldn't mind a balance of like, this is why Percy got screwed over by his dad, this is why Annabeth got screwed over by her mom, because that's one scene that her mom screwed her over on. Later on, we find out that Annabeth has like a giant fear of spiders. Like, she literally just gets paralyzed whenever she sees them, and it's because um this woman named Arachne thought she was the greatest weaver ever, better than the gods, and so Athena went bet and challenged her, and Arachne lost. And because of her, I guess, hubris, Athena punished her by turning her into a spider, saying that she'll forever weave. And so she became the mother of spiders, and any of her children had to
Mm-hmm.
attack, basically,
Yeah.
Athena's children.
I mean, it would be really cool if they tried to do something like that. Because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now I feel like there's a whole. I mean, we've had what, and especially with Disney, the whole topic of generational trauma and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's um, I don't want to say it's a trend because it's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
just again, people realizing things and wanting to become better
Mm-hmm.
humans. You know,
Yeah.
um and not repeat the same mistakes as past relatives.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be so, and I feel like this is very coded with that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that they dove into it, if either enough or at all. Um
I.
they would mention it, but
Mm-hmm.
it was never fully addressed.
Mm-hmm. Wait, are you talking about like the things that their parents did, or
Mhm.
okay? Yeah, I think as far as I'm seeing, they kind of are. They're really trying to like question the fact of like, what is a monster. I guess, in a sense, like, who are the monsters in this
Mhm.
situation and all that. They are trying to question that. And the books, as the books go along, I do kind of see like a trend of not so much generational trauma, but like just history itself, mostly the history itself, trying not to repeat. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the other gods too, they're kind of like, hey, I know we're bad too, but like, when you heroes get big, like, your ego just gets the best of
Uh-huh.
you, and it's always this constant thing of like, you're always thinking you're right, you're always thinking you know what's best and all that, and at the end, you either end up getting killed, or you just end up getting into more danger, or causing more destruction and
Yeah.
all that.
Uh-huh. I
um
mean, it goes back to the deal that Poseidon,
the
Zeus,
three.
and yeah, that they did. Like, they did that for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, and there's also a reason why it was only them three that did it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and
Yeah.
why they're also called the Big Three. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it would be really cool to see them uh touch on that more.
For sure. Yeah, like I said, they stop her, they kill her, they get the head, and they like carry around for a bit, and at some point they end up in this part. Always like, I'm always forgetting about it too, and this is not just because I have a bad memory, just because I feel like it was whatever moment. But they end up in some mattress place, and they fight this guy who is like always like, hey, why don't you try this bed, why don't you try this bed, and all that. And at some point they get on one that like, he goes, "Oh man, this bed is too big. You need to stretch more, or something like that. Or you need to get bigger." And like, somehow mechanical arms come out, and they like get stretched to death and everything. And apparently, this is a mythological monster and all that. And I think one of the men is like, "Oh, what happens if like the bed is, what if we're too big for the bed or something like that?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's an easy fix." And he brings out an axe. And so, and
I feel like there was a lot of those moments.
in the books, or
Yeah, at least in this one, like I again, how you said vaguely remember this one, but I
mm-hmm,
feel like there was a lot of moments like this where
mm-hmm,
they face a lot of like monsters just to
mm-hmm.
get to the next place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's actually why I'm like, and that's actually part of the reason why I like it's a show, because it is episodic. Basically, this
Yeah, it's
whole
like a
book,
monster of the
like,
week kind
even
of thing.
just, I mean, even just the title of the chapters too. I mean, Um, I I play Pinochle with a horse. I become Supreme Lord of the Bathroom. That's where he explodes the toilet to Clarice.
Uh-huh.
um, my dinner goes up in smoke. Oh yeah, that one they just have lunch, and every time they have lunch, they like get like a piece of it, throw it on the fire, and like basically it's an offering to the gods because they like the smell of the burnt food. uh, I'm off for the quiz. Let's see. What are the good ones? Because they do get better. I the title of these just reminds me of our podcast. Like we like we always just
Yeah.
come up with crazy titles and all that. Biggest disappointment in the show so far, they literally didn't put the lightning thief in an episode, in the name of the episode.
Eesh.
How could you not do that? Like it's even in the book. Like what is it? Oh no, never mind. No, no, yeah, it is. Where is it? Oh
Well,
no,
we
never mind.
assume it's when we find out who stole it, no?
No, it's not here. It's we find out the
Wow, fake
truth.
fan.
We find out the truth, sort of, and then the last chapter is the prophecy comes true. So, okay, that's my bad. All right.
I mean, still, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. I should have read the chapter titles actually. It's like a lot of these are coming back to me because I completely missed. I ruined a perfectly good bus. Basically, the bus where they try to take as far as they could, but some monsters attacked them and everything. And I think this is like a moment that true heroic moment, I guess you can say, for Percy, where he just like becomes a distraction for them. But luckily, Annabeth wears an invisible cap and like takes him from behind and all that. So that's cool. And yeah, then after that, it was the Garden Gnome Emporium Medusa, and then we get advice from a poodle. Basically, basically, after that whole thing, they run away to the like in the forest and all that. They try to take a break, and Percy and Grover had this little conversation, and this is like the first part of like many moments of the books afterwards, where Grover is just kind of like sad, and he's like, Percy's like, "Why are you sad?" It's just like, "Look at all this trash." It's just like this whole thing is getting ruined. Come on, like what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Basically, and like I said, that's the first in a lot of moments where there's a message of, be green, clean up the environment and all that, blah blah. Which is leads to a great moment at the end of the series. I don't know if they slept the night or took a nap, but yeah, he wakes up and Grover has a poodle with him, and he's just like, "Oh hey, yeah, I found this poodle. He gives me some directions, and he also said that if we turn him to his owner, the owner's gonna give us some money for like a reward." And Percy's just like, "First of all, how do you know that?" He's like, "I talk to dogs." And but when he introduces the dog, though, he's Grover goes like, "Say hi, Percy," like to the poodle. And this is a line I know it's gonna be in the show, but Annabeth goes, Percy's like, "I'm not gonna say hi to the dog." And Annabeth goes, "Percy, I said hi to the dog. Grover said hi to the dog. You're gonna say hi to the dog." And they did just that. They returned the dog. They got some money now because I think they might have lost it all during their first attack, basically. So yeah, that was good. I plunged to my death. This part, I can't remember where they're at. There's a lot of like parts in the US that they go to that I'm not gonna remember at all, basically. But they end up in some like big tower that Anna really wanted to go in because she's an architect and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we gotta see this." I don't go out. She doesn't go out much actually. She's always in the camp. Never hardly ever goes out. Only to New York, sometimes into Olympus. She mentioned and all that, and they get attacked again, episodic. Just the one monster after another, and this part's kind of funny, or not funny, like fun, because at the end of the attack he has to like jump from that fucking tower all the way into the ocean, and he's like, "I don't know if I'm like indestructible when I touch the water, but I'm just gonna take a chance here." And he just like he literally like prays to his dad like, "Please protect me." um, and when he's there though, he meets some, ooh, there's a difference. It's not a nymph, I think. water nymph or something like that. I can't remember. So like some spirit of the water like goes up to him, and she's like,
Mermaid?
"No, not a mermaid." um, and she goes up to him. He's like, "Hey, I got a message from your dad." And it's just like, "Wait, what? Hold up. So you talked to my dad? Blah blah." Like he's trying to get some
Get more
answers.
information. Uh-huh.
Yeah, get more information. But but the little water spirit was like, "I really don't want to be here. It's really really dirty here. Like I just want to get
Oh.
out." It's again another moment of cleaning up the environment and all that. Even Percy himself is kind of like, I just feel like there's dirt everywhere on me, like in this moment, even though like he's technically dry
Uh-huh.
in that moment because he can actually like just get water out of him if he like focuses enough. And she gives him three pearls basically, and she says like, "You're gonna need these later on." Blah blah. And so yeah, that was big. I become a known fugitive. This is hilarious. I'm gonna like just skip through like basically like beginning and the end of this, but basically because of what happened in the bus, people found him to be a fugitive. Him and Annabeth and Grover, they're like, just like, these kids are causing destruction everywhere in the bus, in that building that they were at, all the way to the end where at some point he fights Ares, um and people can see them fighting in the beach, but um there's this thing called the mist basically that covers the whole magical realm from regular humans and all that. You know, if you see a um flying horse, Pegasus, um if you see a Pegasus, you just won't see the wings basically and all that. And so when he's fighting Ares, for some reason the people are seeing a shootout between Percy and Ares. And so it's just like fucking insane. So people are just kind of like, it's the no fugitive, like going crazy and all that, blah blah blah. And then uh at the end, the way they try to like go back to New York, well, at least no, yeah, it was, yeah, all three of them actually. The way they try to do that is by going to the news and being like, "We were kidnapped. We we were so scared with our lives. Please help us get me back home to my stepfather." But like he's like, it's very clear that he's pretending like, "Please get me back home to my stepfather. He'll even give you a reward. You know, just go to his shop and he'll give you a discount and all that." Basically screwing him over. And I can't wait for that scene because I just know Scoville is just gonna like Walker, the new guy playing Percy. He's just gonna kill it in that moment because he is really funny as an actor. Go watch Adam Project if you want to see like his comedy. um, yeah. So I love the whole storyline. It was a great ending to that, honestly. Um, we take a zebra to Vegas. This moment right here was really sweet. I don't know if you remember it, but basically, they end up on the train. I'm skipping one part, but I'll go back to it. I get back to it. But they end up on like a train, filled with like animals, circus animals. Like one side there's like a zebra, and the other side there's a lion, and so
I don't remember this part at all.
this is just like a moment though that they Percy and Annabeth basically established their friendship and all that, and there's a moment where Grover feels like he's letting them down, like kind of slowing them down and all that, and he tells a story of like, I'm not like, just not a perfect protector, and he tells a story of how he brought Annabeth, Luke, and
Yes.
uh-huh,
Okay, I remember now.
Thalia. I've always heard Thalia, no, yeah, Thalia, um, into the camp, and they were being chased by a Cyclops. At some point, apparently Cyclopses can like mimic other people's voices, so it starts mimicking everyone's voices, and so they're all just like, running towards it. And at some point, Thalia gets hit by it and dies, or sort of dies in like her last moments. Oh, we find out, yeah, Zeus broke the rule at some point too before, and I forgot to mention, whenever one of them breaks the rules, Hades is the one that has to like, um, I guess like bring, like cause the punishment for them, and the only way to do that is to basically kill uh the child. He doesn't really do that in this moment, obviously, because it was a Cyclops and all that. It just kind of brought them to danger. But he felt so bad about it that Zeus felt so bad about her death that he basically like morphed her body into a pine tree and kind of like creates a shield, I guess, for the entire camp in that moment. And so, yeah, Grover blames himself for that. And yeah, so when Percy hears that story, I don't know how, I can't remember how it led to that though, but that's also the same time Percy finds out about why his mom was with Smelly Gabe. And it was because his stench was so bad that it covered Percy's stench from other monsters. And that was how she was able to keep him safe for the entire time. He's just like, what? And again, like that's the thing that he gets it from his mom, that he always wants to put himself puts
I love his mom.
yeah, for sure. It's just, oh my gosh, I can't wait for that reveal in the show. I really hope he fucking kills it. But yeah, and like I said too, it's just this is just kind of like establishing the friendship between Percy and Annabeth, where they're just kind of like you're a good kid and all that blah blah blah. And she even says, "It's like I'm your
I'm
friend."
excited for like new people to watch this and
Get
get
into
into it.
Yeah.
Because it's such like a like, even though it's very much for kids and um like it's, I mean, it's the same thing with Harry Potter, just like this world. Um but he's just like, he's so kind and nice and like, yeah. I'm so excited.
For sure. They also, and yeah, and then they end up on some kind of like abandoned amusement park. Yeah, this is where I skipped the part. They had dinner with Ares, and he was just like, "Hey, I got a little again episodic. I got a little side quest for y'all. I need you to get me this thing over here, and if you do, I'll give you some stuff. I'll give you a ride um to California, and give you a little piece of information." And it's just like, all right, I guess. Percy was noticing that he was getting like more and more frustrated in front of Ares, and it was because that's what Ares does. He's a god of war. Like he kind of like you just get build up in rage when you're around him and all that. He's just kind of like, oh, okay, I should probably calm down then. Yeah, so they end up in some amusement park, and they end up on the some like love ride or something like that. And it's just Percy and Annabeth. And Annabeth goes, "I'm not going on the ride with you." It's like, what if someone sees? um, but they end up going, and they find out that it's a trap from Hephaestus. So basically, he sets up traps everywhere for Ares and goddess of love, Aphrodite. Oh my god!
Aphrodite.
Wow, you were close. Athena, Aphrodite.
Persephone. It sounds the same. It's one of them.
Yeah. Basically, Aphrodite is married to Hephaestus, and the reason why is because everyone wanted her, and so Zeus has to be like, okay, I'm gonna choose who gets her, and that's it. And he chose Hephaestus because he's technically like the ugliest god, and so
No, I love it.
no, dude. I wish I can like come up with like a list of who's actually like a better parent. Very big quotes on that. I think he's like on the top because he does kind of care about his kids. The thing though is that he doesn't really care about humans at all. So it's just kind of like it's a hard thing for him to figure out. Anyway, so yeah, they're both married, but every once in a while, Ares and Aphrodite uh, get together every once in a while, and then whenever that happens, Hephaestus tries to catch him on the act, and that's how Percy and Annabeth ended up in a trap, and that's where we find out the fear of Annabeth's. We find out Annabeth's fear of spiders. Wow. and he actually like had it like live, was gonna show it live and everything, and so people can see like Percy fighting all the spiders, how they get away with it, and at the end when everything comes down, um yeah, Percy goes just like, "Thanks for watching," and like throws it like his sword at the camera and all that, and destroys it. And I'm like, that was badass, actually. Just gotta like screw you guys for like this entertainment and all that. I loved it. Um, so yeah, basically so they get the thing that Ares wanted. They go up to him and they're like, "Okay, what's the info?" It's like, "Your mom's alive." And he's like, "What? How do you know?" She's like, "It just does. She disappeared in the last moment, and she's in the other world." Um,
Underworld.
that- that's what I said.
I know it sounded like you said otherworld.
Oh, my bad. Underworld. So yeah, they get a ride. They get to the bus. Waterbeds. Yeah, we really skipped ahead on that one. Um, oh, that's so weird. Oh, wow. I skipped the Lotus Hotel scene.
Yeah, I'm like, when does that
Yeah,
happen?
I know this. I could have sworn. I could. Where is it? It's literally just the zebra, waterbed, the bed thingy, and then to Underworld. Huh. Weird. Okay. Yeah. I'll just explain real quick. Basically, they get to a Lotus Hotel. They find out it's just like a super fun place, but Percy finds out that it's a place where people get stuck in time, basically, and it's basically just a distraction. And that's actually how Annabeth gets a card that's like unlimited money, and so that's how they get even around even more. So that was pretty cool. Uh, so yeah, that was a quick scene. It was fun. People are very excited about that scene in the show because um, that is people's favorite scene in the movie, and so now they're kind of like, are they going to try to top that in the show? And if they had
Hmm.
Lin Manuel Miranda, who's clearly in that scene, are they gonna have a musical number in there? So we'll see. uh, but yeah, so all of that happens, and they finally make it to California, and I laugh every single time. But Percy, he's like in LA, and he just goes, "This place fucking sucks. It's so hot in here. This just like poor people everywhere, or something like that." It's so funny, and it's very clearly required in like kind of like talking shit about California because he is like a New Yorker and all that. And I remember reading one of the Rick Riordan presents. It was The Last Fallen Star, and basically I think it might have been Korean mythology. I could be wrong, sorry. um that takes place in LA and all that. And in the intro of the book, Rick Ryan puts like, "I'm just really glad that there's a reason that LA is cool now." Because the book takes place there. It's like perfect because he was never gonna do that. They make it to the underworld, and there's just death everywhere,
I
darkness.
mean,
Yeah, it's just bleak as fuck. They meet up to Cerberus, and Annabeth's just like, "I got a plan," and it's just play fetch. And that's it. um, they meet up with Hades, um, and they're like, "Hey, give us the lightning bolt." And he's just like, "I don't have it." They're like, "What?" He's like, "Don't you want it to take over Olympus and all that?" And he just goes, I don't even like taking care of this place. It's just like there's so many souls here, and all of the other like people who work here just want like a raise and everything. I can't keep up with it. I don't want any more to rule." And so they're just like, "What the fuck was like this whole trip about?" And all that. Like, what the heck did we do? And in that moment, Percy finds out who took the the lightning bolt, and well, who might have been. Basically, when they helped out Ares, he gave them supplies, and one of them was a backpack. The backpack held the lightning bolt that Percy just didn't know in that moment. This was like in the middle of the book, so he didn't like carry it throughout the entire trip, obviously. and uh, and so yeah, they find that out. I think they were told like, "Oh, well, now you can't escape because you have the lightning bolt." It's like
hmm
that. It's like no, no, no. And the pearls that he had. This is the first part where he leaves behind his mom. Uh, but he was hoping for a plan that like will convince them to um, get his mom back. So
In the prophecy, how does all this
come.
like does yeah.
Um,
If
yeah.
you could repeat the prophecy again.
Oh, I gotta look it up again. Actually, uh,
Because I assume the mom has something to do with that
it
last part.
was the mom for sure. So yeah, you should find what was stolen and see it safely returned. So yeah, this is when after. So clearly, Ares was the one that put the lightning bolt in the backpack. He was trying to frame him. So when they confronted him about it, he's Percy like kind of baits him into fighting him. Questionable the fight, 12-year-old boy against God of War. But I mean, it wasn't like a fight to the death or anything. It was just kind of like he gets one hit at him, and there was just like, "Gosh, darn it, you got it, you got me." And he gets pissed off about it, and he tells him like, when it like time comes, basically, you wish you had me on your side, basically, kind of curses him. And so after that fight, they do the whole go to the news, get some money, and they just fly back to New York. They couldn't fly in the first place because the sky is Zeus's territory. Percy's not allowed there. He just can't get near it. But he was hoping that when he flies back himself, he can be like, "Hey Zeus, I got your lightning bolt here. Like, don't do shit," because they said that the lightning bolt itself is like basically a nuclear bomb.
Mhm.
And so he was kind of hoping like he'll be chill about it this one time. Percy goes to Empire State Building. People are guessing that Rick Ryan is gonna make a cameo in that moment when he goes into the Empire State Building. That'd be kind of funny. And then he meets the Olympians. He goes there and he's just like, "Hey, you got it right here. I never stole it in the first place. It was Ares," or at least we think it was Ares. We don't know how, and all that. And so once he like proved his innocence, Zeus was just like, "All right, I guess we can make you live this once," and all that. And he makes a deal with them. It's like, "Hey, can I get something in return? I want my mom back," and that's how she gets back home. So that wasn't the moment of the third part, which is you and you shall fail to save what matters most in the end. That's not really the moment. He talks to his dad, and I love this moment. I really, oh my gosh, the actor that he got for Poseidon, he's fucking great. He was in Lost in Space. He's a dad in that show, so like he's perfect. Just kind of gives him like this thing, like this speech of like, I'm sorry I'm not there and all that, blah blah blah. It's like I'm busy. There's just things that I have to do and all that. But I just like the line in the end where he's just like, "Just remember though, like you're my son." Basically just this moment of like we're in this together.
Mhm.
We are who we are, and but I think you can't be great about it.
Mhm.
He goes back home to see if his mom is safe and all, and they had this talk of like, "Oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened," blah blah blah. And in that moment, Gabe comes in and he's just like, "Sally, where's that little punk of yours?" and all that, blah blah blah, just being an asshole. And Percy was ready to like pull out the sword and like kill him, basically. But Sally was like, "What are you doing? What the fuck?" First of all, Percy forgot that the sword won't affect humans, so like it wouldn't have worked either way. I found that funny. But this is the moment for me. I think my favorite moment in the entire book, and I really hope they do this in the book. And no other podcast talks about this moment. I don't know why they don't. It pisses me off. Turn to page 352. Basically, Percy's trying to convince her, like, "I can help you, like I can get rid of him, like you don't deserve this guy," and blah blah blah. And her reasoning as to why he shouldn't do anything is because, for one thing, you're she's the mom, you're the son, like I'm supposed to be
I'm supposed
like
to protect
I'm
you.
supposed to protect you. I like if there's any problems, I gotta fix it myself. And she says, her multicolored eyes seem to search inside me. "I think you know, Percy. I think you're enough like me to understand if my life is going to mean anything, I have to live it myself. I can't let a god take care of me or my son. I have to find the courage on my own. Your quest has reminded me of that." And I think that line is like the most important line in the entire series of like just basically taking things in your own hands. And he definitely does that in Titan's Curse. I wish I could spoil it for you, but 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 I think that really does set the path for Percy to what he becomes in the end. And so it's one of my favorite moments in the entire book, honestly. Um and so he's just like, all right. And so he leaves, and that's the second part of the second or third. No, third part of the prophecy, that he has to be the one to step down and not save her. Not because he couldn't, just because he can't be the one. It has to be on her own. And so I love that. It's just, again, big twist that I would not have seen coming at all.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah. And like that's what I'm saying. Like when we were talking earlier about like them kind of acknowledging like the parent situation. Like I guess that like it's not fair of us to say that because then you have characters like his mom,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Which is like a huge exception of like what we were saying earlier. Um but I love that they made that moment like her moment,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I don't know, it's just so like powerful. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. No, I think it is powerful for like a parent moment, to like really
Parent, mom, woman,
mom moment.
like anybody, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't get talked about enough. I'm so pissed
Yeah.
off about it. And so I'm rooting for the actress who plays Sally on that moment to like kill it. I mean, she seems to have like a lot of moments like that though, of like giving him life lessons from the Greek mythologies and all that. But we shall see. Um, so yeah, that was the end of it. He goes back to camp, just kind of goes through the rest of summer, and the whole time he's just kind of like, that second part of the prophecy didn't really come to pass. Just like, Annabeth, Grover, still my friends. I don't think they'll ever betray me. There's no way they'll betray me, and all that. End of camp comes along. Percy's deciding whether to stay or to go with his mom. Uh, he he mentioned that he left Medusa's head at the place at his house, and Gabe somehow disappears, and Sally goes back to school because she made a lot of money selling this great realistic statue that no one will ever know how she made it. And she goes back to school, tries to learn like to be a writer and all that, blah blah blah. And so she's like, "Hey, I got a new place. If you want to come back, it's open, you know." And so right before that, him and Luke go off, and that's the second part of the prophecy. Luke was the one that stole it in the first place. He used Annabeth's cap. Retcon moment in Chalice of the Gods. He's because he turned himself invisible. Actually, I'll spoil this. I don't mind. Basically, in Chalice of the Gods, Percy tries to sneak into Olympus because he needs to return something for someone. Puts on the cap, but Grover's like, by the way, you won't be able to hide. You won't really be invisible in front of the gods with the cap. And they're just like, why? It's just, you just basically look like a weird fog in front of them because it's not super powerful or anything like that. And so I feel like that kind of changes Luke's moment because he uses the cap to steal the lightning bolt, but if it doesn't make you totally invisible, how do you steal it?
Mm-hmm.
So, Rick, consistency, man. It's not the strongest. But yeah, he's the one that stole it. And turns out the real big bad is Kronos. I was about to say Kratos. That's God of War game. God of War game. Kronos.
I think Kronos part of it too.
I mean, he is, but but still, though, they're not the same.
Yeah.
It was Kronos who basically tricked Ares into doing what he did on his part, but he's not tricking Luke. He is straight up like, nah, I want to join him and we want to kill the gods because, for one thing, they don't they treat us like shit. They don't really care about us. They, you know, they're okay with us like not figuring out who we are for like the longest time. And yeah, for one thing, he's pissed off about is just like we just keep reliving moments of other heroes past, because Luke has a scar on his face and he got that by retrieving like some apple. That's a quest that Hercules did, and it's just kind of like, why are you making me do the same thing as him? you know.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And so he betrays him. He runs away, and so yeah, that's the second part of the prophecy. And yeah, Percy ends up in the nurse because Luke poisoned him. Oh yeah, just that. He decides to go back home. So that's the book. Sorry I went back and forth, but
It's okay.
I was not fully prepared. I really thought I had like a pretty good memory of it just because I listened to the audiobook twice. I read the book twice. So that's not me. I'll try to, if we read the other ones, or for sure when we get to the Chaos Walking one, I'll try to like put stickers on it. I only put one sticker on this book.
I know, I saw.
I mean, it was the one part that I really wanted to talk about the most. Okay. um, but yeah, that's the entire first book. And like I mentioned, I love Percy. He's funny, and I love what he goes through. Like he's just so pissed. He's pissed off about everything that goes on with him, but like he just kind of has to pull through, and he makes it towards the end.
Yeah. He I love him. I
Mhm.
love this book.
Mhm.
It's so cute.
Yeah, and I like Grover and Annabeth. Grover is just hilarious. There was a moment I didn't mention, but like in the book, they try to say like he's trying to play tunes for them and all that, and they say that he was trying to play Britney Spears song. I can't remember which one, but it's just always pop songs that he's like always trying to play, and yeah, Annabeth is just cool. Honestly, I just I don't know. I like that she knows she's smart. She knows that she's smart, and she knows that like she can come up with a plan at any time, and she always wants to challenge herself. That's one thing. That's part of the reason why she went on this quest in the first place. She never got a quest of her own, uh, and so she finally found one that she just gets to test her limits.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Yep.
I know, like I said, I know we missed a lot more, but that's just. Hopefully, we can get more into it as if we ever get to the other books. We're not gonna read the whole series. We're just reading this one for now, and we will react to the show, at least. And I'll
Yes.
probably say a whole lot more, remember a whole lot more, and be like, "Oh yeah, this episode of the book." Any final thoughts?
I'm excited to see the show.
Yeah. All right then. Thank
I'm
you
excited to see these moments.
for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. Where's my mouse? Because I can't see it. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for listening. This will be up on Friday. Check out our reactions. Check out Red Spotlight. I know we're gonna be talking about probably Wonka soon. Saltburn. You're excited about that. And check out my other channel, Questioner. I was playing Sea of Stars, but like I said, DLC came out of God of War, and I'm playing that, so it's gonna be pretty mixed. But for sure, oh my gosh, my mouse ran out of battery. Uh, but yeah, that's gonna be fun. Thank you again. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.